I was told that the dynasty was intact, that Nick Saban wasn't going anywhere, that they had reestablished their dominance over the college football world.
Some called it the standard.
But see, Michigan, Michigan, y'all. Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, friends.
Ooh.
Michigan. We're going to talk about this Alabama team and how in the world Georgia lost to them today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com/Locked On. By the way, if you see us over on YouTube and you're watching us get on our phones, it's because we're on the Twitter machine
Just got
watching
some
a
unfinished
meltdown.
business.
We have some unfinished business that we have to attend to.
Hashtag bookmarks need to be attended.
Look, we don't start things, but I will tell you this.
We don't.
We will finish them.
We will just hang on to the information you provide us.
Yep.
And then we will allow you to see it again later when it becomes appropriate.
We just present to you the mirror.
Listen, anyone can take a reservation. It's holding of the reservation.
All right. We are going to talk about this Alabama game against the now in national championship game.
Yeah,
Michigan
we're recording
Wolverines.
this as the Texas-Washington game is happening, so we don't
Have
know
no
anything
clue
about
who they're
that
going to
game.
play. Yeah.
But the Rose Bowl is finished, and we needed an episode today. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about Alabama's team, but let's start from a Georgia perspective, right? Obviously, if you're friends with an Alabama fan, they will quickly remind you that your team, Georgia, lost to this Alabama team. And I just got to tell you, the more you watch that game and the more you see what Michigan was able to do to Alabama, particularly offensively, Michigan, who doesn't have an offense to save its life. I mean, Blake Corum is a dude, and that offensive line is pretty stout, but Georgia's offense miles better than Michigan's offense. But what Michigan was able to do to Alabama defensively against Alabama's offense, it just makes you scratch your head, Clint, and go, man, this Georgia team, I know everybody is saying on Twitter right now, boy, Georgia would have won the national championship. McCole Hardman saying, oh, this national championship was Georgia's to lose. If they had put us in there, we would have been it. We would have won the whole thing. Yeah, maybe we would have. Maybe. I think Michigan would have beat us too, Clint. This Georgia team was a flawed team this year. And I think seeing how pathetic Alabama looked offensively against a real defense, pathetic. I think it only goes to show that this Georgia defense, man, was really suffering all year long.
And here's what's really intriguing to me when we talk about how this pertains to Georgia. Outside the fact I'm gonna come for Tommy Rees and Alabama fans.
We'll talk
in a
about
second.
that. Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna get to them in a moment.
We'll talk about that.
But what this tells me is a lot of Dog fans bemoaning the transfer portal right now, just all up in their feels talking about losing
guys leaving.
Guys.
Oh man,
these
Xavier
guys are
Sori's leaving. JDJ's leaving. We got guys just
Marvin is gone.
Marvin Jones.
What is going on? Can't Kirby keep these guys? What is happening? Here's what's happening. May I tell you? We had a bad defense last year.
Hello.
I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Daniel, you've won. We had
Market Dukes. Somebody put a pin in that, M-Dubs. I need one.
I was fighting for my life.
Golly, my man was out here swinging, just throwing haymakers all year, just flailing. He's biting and trying to pull hair. He's just out here. He doesn't care.
I don't care. I was trying to see any metric and any stat and any information that let me know. And I was just searching like a truffle pig in the middle of a forest for anything sniffing around. and I was wrong.
Nothing
We were
there.
a bad defense. And those players on the bad defense, Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
are no longer in a position to be bad on defense.
Well, they're either hopefully growing up in the case of guys like CJ and Raylan, hopefully taking a next step.
Yep.
Or they are moving on.
And the guys that
lives.
are coming up now, Daniel,
Uh-huh.
are those that have the opportunity to be better on defense than we were this year. Kirby cleaned house. Like, at the end of the day, a horribly flawed, absolutely terrible Alabama offense shoved it in our face.
They did. They just and you saw. Listen, Jalen Milroe is an exceptional athlete, and you saw him break runs against Michigan. I'm not even talking about that.
Nope.
But the thing about Jalen Milroe and this Alabama offense is it was so easy to just get direct straight line pressure at him. And you saw Jalen Walker do it twice in the game. You saw Michigan do it 37 times in the game. That's what you have to do, and we simply did not have dudes that could do it. We also didn't have guys on the back end who could cover those wide receivers. And Michigan secondary, step for step, with every deep ball that was thrown in this game, every receiver that caught a little flare screen, there was a safety bearing down, making a sure tackle. We can laugh at Alabama, and we will, and we should. We should, because listen, they deserve it. But as we laugh at Alabama, the way Michigan performed is an indictment against this Kirby Smart defense, and things have got to be remedied next year because, yes, Carson Beck is coming back.
Sure.
Yes, the offense looks to be well intact and ready to continue to ascend, but this defense got to figure things out, Clint.
In a hurry. And again, the indictment was, we said we were ahead of ourselves saying who we wanted to see in the playoff for Georgia and who we didn't want to see. Michigan was the team that I thought, you're trying to be us and you can't be us. Well, it turns out they tried to be us.
They're a better us.
And they were.
This year, they were a better us. Absolutely.
They were better us.
Yep.
We're going to come back after this because we got some receipts that we need to talk about.
Well, that's interesting.
Tommy Reese.
Okay.
And Bama fan.
Okay,
you all said things.
Things were said. We'll talk
We're
about
just reminding you. But first, we want to talk about FanDuel. FanDuel, Daniel's fantastic place
I love
to go.
FanDuel.
Make every moment more. FanDuel.com/locked on. The NFL regular season wrapping up. Niners have clinched up that one seed. Hey-oh, just to let you all know. Still time to get on the action.
NFL fan over here. Noted NFL fan Clint Shamblin over here. He's out here.
No, noted one team fan.
Whoops.
America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet on the money line, like somebody did for Michigan to win the game.
Hello.
That's $150 on the bonus bets. Win or lose. The app is so easy to use. And there are so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Okay, Daniel, I have to start. We have lots to get to, but this I think is my favorite thing that came out this week. And before the game,
here we go.
Milroe talking about, man, all you doubters,
give him the Heisman, by the way.
Give him the Heisman. Y'all just doubting him. Somebody said he needed to change positions because he can't play. How dare Bill O'Brien, who has been around football longer than you have done your
Bill
job.
O'Brien say that?
Bama fan, because you. I'm not going to talk about your job. How dare he say that?
Yeah.
But just a quick understanding.
How does Tommy Reese feel about Jalen Milroe's ability? That's not because Bill O'Brien, noted failed Alabama offensive coordinator.
Okay, great.
Tommy Reese, noted failed Alabama offensive coordinator currently. How does he feel about Jalen Milroe's
not even Tommy Reese, but let me, Bama fan, y'all up in your feels because you think that Nick Saban is not on the headset listening to the only play that matters for your entire season, a 4th down play from the 3-yard line.
A play in which 17 timeouts were called beforehand. And you saw every look, every formation. You knew everything that was happening. And you had an opportunity in a huddle to design the perfect play. Go ahead.
And Nick Saban could have at any moment gotten on his headset, pulled down, and said, not that play.
And say, hey, should we throw it to one of our talented playmakers on the edge?
So,
should we try to get a back coming out of the backfield? Should we do a little naked boot, try to hit somebody on a throwback? Should we try to design something here?
GOAT Nick Saban, your current offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and everybody on the sideline coaching and making decisions for Alabama thought the best chance you had in the most pressure-cooked environment in the world was to do a pulling guard power quarterback run with your...
in which he literally hit the square button to dive from the 7.5-yard line. He literally punched that square button and said, I think I can make it from here, from the 7.5-yard line.
So here's what's ridiculous to me. You all can say, based off a couple of fluke throws, that Milroe was a talented quarterback. He's not. He's a gifted athlete. And Bama fans need to understand that your head coach did not think he was worthy of being trusted to throw an accurate ball to win your entire season and continue on in the playoff. Just let that soak in, please.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 9.5 months to stew on it, so it'd be fine. While you're doing that, let me just deposit this little nugget into Alabama fans and Georgia fans' minds, because this is extremely relevant for both fan bases, because September 28th is coming. It's coming, and Georgia travels to Alabama, to Tuscaloosa, where nobody wins against Alabama. Nobody beats Alabama at home in Tuscaloosa. And so it's a tough test. Can I just say, coming out of this game, there is no way that entering the fall, there is not an open quarterback competition in Tuscaloosa next year between the kid that they put in against South Florida that literally defecated all up and down his leg, and Jalen Milroe, the guy that you saw out there tonight, because Nick Saban knows that Jalen Milroe ain't it. Again, did he beat Georgia? Absolutely, he did. But he's not it at quarterback. And so you're going to have a guy who's going to go into the season with, what will he be, Clint? Maybe the 3rd favorite to win the Heisman? Maybe the number 1 favorite to win the Heisman Trophy? He's going to be in an open competition, and if you don't think there's a legit chance that Tyler, whatever his name is, or whatever that other kid's name is, that one of those kids ends up beating him out next fall and is Alabama's starting quarterback, you're crazy. Because this staff, to your point, Clint, sees what they see in Jalen Milroe. And what again, they see is the inability to play quarterback.
Listen, if I had Milroe back there at quarterback, I would be running him 25 times per game.
Of course you would, because he's the most talented runner on the field.
He's incredible incredible. That's not throwing shade. That's not me giving a backhanded compliment. I am literally saying he is a very fluid, gifted runner, very stout, everything.
Yeah.
He can't play quarterback.
Well, he can. He just can't do the other things quarterbacks do other than run.
Like be trusted to make an accurate pass from 3 yards. Again, a mesh concept with a pick play, or a pick play that you can, is a easy cash touchdown.
He can't be trusted to even remotely see a free linebacker coming up the middle. Like not even a little bit see him. Jalen Milroe ain't it, and he's not going to survive the season next year for Alabama. He will not be. He might be the starting quarterback on September 28th, Georgia fans.
Ain't going to be after.
But he ain't going to be the starting quarterback for much longer than that. No. Yeah, I mean, nobody's saying this Alabama team's going away. They're still incredibly talented with or without Nick Saban.
Yeah.
They're still incredibly talented. But Jalen Milroe ain't it at all. Like at all. At all.
And this just in, the offensive line is not getting an influx of talent anytime soon.
Well, they already got that true freshman at left tackle that's a prodigy. He's an absolute stud. Is that correct? Am I doing this correctly?
You're doing that correct. Yeah, no, you're following the script. Just
great.
Right on.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
We're going to come back after this. Got more thoughts on this as well as Georgia offseason.
All right, Clint. The Rose Bowl's in the books.
Yes.
Georgia is 13-1.
Correct.
Quick update on the schedule. Alabama is 12-2. Georgia, the only 13-win SEC team. We did not win the SEC title this year. Alabama did. No. They beat Georgia.
Great.
Nick Saban is 5-1 all time against Kirby Smart. I believe there's a banner hanging in Tuscaloosa for that, which is awesome. We've got banners hanging for the 2021 and 2022 national championships, but they do have a banner for Nick Saban being 5-1 against Kirby Smart. You can never take that away from him.
Can't take that away from him.
No, nor would anyone want to. As you look at the trajectory of the SEC, now again, Texas coming in, we haven't seen any of the Texas game yet. So when you're listening to this, watching this, you will know the outcome of the Texas-Washington game. We do not. As you look at the overall landscape of the SEC, with most of the SEC teams, not Texas yet, finished playing for next year, give me your early thoughts. Give me a little early power rankings here. Where do you see Georgia slotting in the pecking order of 2024 SEC caliber teams?
Okay, Georgia fans, you're not going to like this at all, but I'm telling you, we're going to be near the top. Okay, I think we're going to have a retooled, revamped defense. I don't doubt that at all. I think we're going to be better this year or next year than we are this year
on defense.
Offensively, I don't think we skip a beat whatsoever. So offense is going to be near the top, which again, we were top 3 to top 5 every single game, every single week in, week out. We were in the top 5.
Wow. Clint, don't come with the facts now.
I hate when I do explosiveness and success rates.
He allowed 27 points against Mike Bubble, which, by the way, the sarcasm, like you all on Twitter, please.
I know the 199.
Please help me out. The 199 coming to our defense, they understand, but there's some people. Twitter's just not meant for you. Twitter's not for you.
No,
if
you need somebody to explain what's happening on Twitter, log off. Just
correct. Or just in general, log off. I mean, it's like that's generally a good advice, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the teams that are going to be in the playoff from the SEC.
Interesting.
Okay. Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, Ole Miss.
No Texas. You slotting Texas right out of there. Oklahoma,
Texas.
Big drop off.
I'm saying big drop off for those teams. I think we saw Texas get the benefit of the doubt from the conference they played in, and I think that when you come against a very improved Missouri team and a very vastly improved Ole Miss team, everybody's going to be talking about Ole Miss this offseason. Like everybody already is.
Everybody already is. It's the matchup of the century of the year. All of a sudden, Georgia, Ole Miss. Missouri and Ole Miss. You think 4 teams from the SEC make the playoff? First of all,
I do.
12-team playoff wouldn't be unheard of. Obviously, you're going to have it remains to be seen what's going to happen with the Pac-12. If there's going to be an automatic qualifier from there, if it's going to be 4 + 1. And so in that case, you would have 7 at-larges, or if it's going to be 5 + 1, in that case, there'd only be 6 at-larges, and you're talking about needing there to be 3 of those 6. Half of the at-larges would need to be SEC teams. That would be insane. If there's 7 at-larges, I feel a lot better about 3 teams' chances. I agree about Georgia and Alabama. I don't think Alabama's going anywhere.
No.
Even without Nick Saban, which I'll continue to say, even without Nick Saban, I think Alabama still makes the playoff next year.
I can't wait, by the way. I can't wait for Bama fans who have been just railing against Georgia for this long
Yeah.
to all of a sudden switch the narrative to
Kirby Smart's the greatest thing ever. We want him. Please come. Please
Can't
come
wait.
to Bama. Please
cannot wait.
Please come to Bama. Please. 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 Listen, I agree with those two. I think there will only be one more because I think you look at leagues like the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the talent that they've added. I think you're dealing with a minimum of 3 Big 10 teams next year in the playoff. Minimum. Because you're going to have Michigan, depending on what happens with Harbaugh, but you're going to have Michigan. You're going to have Ohio State. They're going to be up there. You're going to have Oregon. They're going to be up there. You're going to have Washington, depending on how the offseason goes for them.
I think quarterback position is going to be the biggest question there. But yes, okay.
But then you've got a bunch of other teams like Fickle in Wisconsin. Like, is he able to?
He's coming,
take a step
just
up?
Let you know.
So I think you're dealing with a minimum of 3 Big 10 teams. I think you got teams like USC now in the Big 12. I think that there's an opportunity there. Utah in the Big 12. Like, how's that going to go? Like, opportunities for teams like that to kind of run through, build up a lot of wins, get into the playoffs. So I think 4 teams from the SEC would be incredibly hard. I think Missouri is a kind of the ultimate wild card. Has Missouri blown their load already, or will they be able to sustain and defend this season that they've had?
Because the one thing that you have to look at is Cook did not look good in the bowl game, didn't look good when he was pressured, without Schrader doing his incredible run at running back. Without that being the case.
Exactly.
It was
Luther Burden was a non-factor in that bowl game.
Wild to me.
And how could that be?
Literally at you just put him in the backfield and run a wildcat if you can't throw him the ball at a certain point. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to do it. To your point, there are a lot of talented teams, and the conference realignment is going to be crazy. Admittedly, it's going to be crazy. So
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of talented teams. I think depending on the development of the freshman kid whose name I'm not going to learn how to pronounce at Tennessee, like there's opportunity there for that. For
Tennessee's not doing anything.
Team to listen. All you got to do is win 10 games. All you got to do is win 10 games, and you're in the college football playoff in the SEC. Tennessee's got an opportunity to do that. I think Alabama, Georgia. I think Ole Miss, certainly. I don't think Missouri's going to be able to sustain it. I think those are teams that have an opportunity to do something special. And then maybe sneak a peek at Auburn, being a sneaky wild card SEC team next year. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoff. I'm just saying
disruptive force in the SEC.
Look for Auburn to be a lot better than people think next year. That's kind of my dark horse.
A team to absolutely just drop off the face of the planet. Daniel.
Oklahoma
is going to that's an easy cash. Like, if you gave me today an over-under on win totals and where Oklahoma's going to place in the bottom half of the SEC, I would take that all day, every day. They're going to drop off big time. Yeah. But another team that's going to drop off and fall off the face of the planet, Florida State, is in a spin cycle now.
We talked about it the other day, but I just hate that the committee, put this garbage Alabama team in. We'll never know if Florida State could have beaten Michigan. I mean,
have no clue.
Florida State probably had a good shot to beat them, but we'll never know because the committee decided to put in Alabama, who just went out there and crapped the bed and lost to the Big Ten. Oh my God. Did the Big Ten win a bowl game this year? Was it just the one?
Just really quick, the Big Ten, from a noted SEC savant.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten. Ohio State, fewest points scored in 7 years. Iowa gave up the most points allowed all season versus Tennessee. Penn State gave up the most points and most yards allowed all season versus Ole Miss. Wisconsin gave up the most points and most yards allowed all season.
So LSU. The Big Ten sucks versus the SEC, according to someone whose job it is to cover the games. He knows what he's talking about. He's an objective, unbiased viewer of the
I
games.
Understand this correctly, the SEC ran rickshaw all over the Big Ten in every single capacity. So if you're an SEC team and you can't do that against a Big Ten team, Daniel, you're trash.
A Big Ten team who used to cheat and now isn't allowed to cheat anymore, so you already have the advantage of that. It's a tough scene out here.
It's a
Not
tough
Michigan,
scene.
Clint. Truly, they didn't lose to TCU. Beat Michigan. Do you remember what Alabama fans said about TCU? Do you remember what Alabama fans said about Georgia's national championship? Oh, you beat TCU. That doesn't even count. That's a Mickey Mouse championship. It's against the TCU team. TCU beat Michigan. TCU. No. It hurts.
By the way, just go ahead and head on over and watch the post-game interview that Nick Saban has done, and just look at the man's face. And
You tell me if
he's
coming back.
You tell me if that man's coming back.
I don't need to tell you. You tell me.
I know
Just
the look of a
see
dejected.
something, say something. I believe.
And I'm
is what they
seeing
say.
something.
Yeah, there it is.
Some things are being seen. He is Daniel. I am Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. We'll be back talking about Georgia football as well as Georgia basketball, because basketball season's here. SEC play is here. Jump on in. The water's just fine. And Mike White is just blazing hot right now. He's cooking. We'll see you guys all then this week. See ya.